마음은 어떨까요? 자연스럽게 두 손을 좀 모으게 되네요.
여기 단수 치고 받았을 때 여기로 빠지는 수도 있어요. 여기도 세 집짜리거든요.
네.
그때 백이 여기를 주면은 승부가 돼요. 이거는 두 집 차이잖아요.
네.
선수 두 집짜리죠. 근데 이제 끝내기가 별로 없기 때문에 가능한데 끼우는 수가 좋다고 얘기를 하네요. 아, 그리고 여기가 선수 두 집이 아니죠. 여기를 뒀을 때 여기를 두는 수가 있습니다.
네.
그렇다면은 그러니까 차라리 여기를 두고 렌샤오 구단이 요 끼움수를 못 본다면 또 어떻게 될지 모릅니다. 끼움수가 승부처네요.
저기를 미리 해놓으면 달라지잖아요.
달라지죠?
저 자리는 끼워서 끝내기를 해야 된다고 방금 말씀해 주셨는데 이거 달라지겠죠?
달라지는데 약간 근데 이거는 약간 득인 것 같아요. 받아주면 약간 득이에요. 여기는 이제 더 이상 수가 없고 백이 여기를 이으면 돼요. 근데 왜 인공지능이 안 바뀌었느냐? 여기를 두면은 약간 여기가 세 집보다 작아져서 여기가 더 크다는 얘기인데 여기 두면 이어줄 수도 있을 것 같거든요.
네.
그러면 저처 이으면 몰라요.
한성준 선수 일단 받고 렌샤오 선수의 선택을 기다려봐야 될 것 같습니다.
지금 여기는 끼움수가 좋았습니다. 끼우면은 얼핏 보기에는 보태주는 것 같지만 여기가 받아야 되기 때문에 집은 똑같고 12집이죠. 네, 여기는 12집이고 100집이 한 집이 없어졌으니까 똑같은 거라고 생각하는데 여기가 절대 선수가 되느냐 안 되느냐 차이가
네.
있습니다. 렌샤오 선수 확실히 실수를 했어요. 잊지는 않겠다는 뜻일까요?
발을 끝내기를 선택할 가능성이
또 있죠. 그러면 똑같다고 볼 수도 있어요. 렌샤오 선수의 다음 한 수가 중요합니다.
네.
근데 아무리 봐도 여기를 바로 잊지 않는 것이 여기를 젖혀 이어서 세 집짜리를 주면 이겼다라는 생각으로 보이기는 합니다. 왜냐면 여기를 잡는 게 원래는 큰데 이게 치받아서 정리를 하게 되면은 여기가 생기는 것 때문에 좀 작다고 느낄 수도 있거든요.
눈을 못 뜨겠네요. 괜찮으세요?
괜찮은데요. 근데 느낌은 렌샤오 선수 고개를 뒤에 젖히죠.
네.
반집은 반집인데
우선 한 점 단수 친 자리를 백이 이어주었다면 결과가 달라질 수 있었을 텐데 렌샤오 선수도 정확한 끝내기를 찾은 것 같습니다. 이제 다시 반패 싸움일까요?
네. 싸움인 것 같은데
역대급으로 최근 준비한 것 중에
반패가
안 남아요?
안 남는 것 같아요. 여기랑 여기가 맛보기로 딱딱 떨어지고 여기랑 여기가 맛보기로 떨어지는 것 같아요. 지금 여기가 두 집짜리죠. 여기는 세 집짜리고 그러니까 여기와 여기가 맛보기라고 본 것 같아요. 렌샤오 구단이 여기를 둔 게 실수처럼 보였지만 사실은 가장 쉽게 정리하는 길이라고 판단한 것 같습니다. 여기가 그래도 두 집이 안 되는 모양인 것 같고 약간 떨어지는 느낌이네요. 거기 젖혀 있는 순간 성준 구단도 느낌이 온 것 같아요.
네. 한성준 선수의 제스처를 보니까 계산이 조금 된 것 같은데 너무 아쉬운데요.
Uncles, aunties, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, welcome to the fourth session of the Stage 3 Aloka Dhamma course. I would like to encourage you all to turn on your camera
started.
So fast, ah?
Yeah,
What the hell? What's the time?
4:07. Prematilaka is already there.
My God, he is so damn this thing. How come, ah? Why they so fast?
Seven participants already.
Is it gallery or we have to do speaker view?
I put the gallery. Gallery, you can see everybody. You can see everybody, right? Yo, they all come so early. Huh?
Is it nice, I don't? It better. Lucky I on my unmute.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh my God.
Hello, everyone. 10 days homestay in Melbourne.
This year.
Yeah, close your video.
Hello, secure 2. Hello, secure 2. Hello, secure 2. Hello, secure 2. Hello, secure 2.
I don't have any malleability of use. There is sometimes those like that. The universe phenomena arises because of and also the phenomena arises because of three causes. Sometimes because of consciousness.
Sama. On कर ला दिन
Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the Pāli course conducted by the International Institute of Theravada. I'm Venerable Maggavihari. So the teacher, Venerable Sumedha Loka, will begin the class today. So it will be the lecture number 3. So he'll be discussing about few explanations about the nouns and about the syntax, which is very important in understanding the language, how to construct sentences. So we respectfully invite Venerable Sumedha Loka to conduct this class. So we shall recite Namo Tassa 3 times and begin the class. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
So let's start the class reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, Swagatam everyone. If you are a newcomer, Swagatam means welcome in Pali. Again, welcome everybody for today's lecture. We are into our third week, and this is the third lecture. I'm happy for you. You have come this far, and you have a long way to go here in this course. So just to start with the pep talk, today I want to discuss or share with you a very nice wisdom that we can find in Sutta Pitaka, which is called Singalovada Sutta. Let me show it for you. Okay, this is the verse which was compiled by teachers. Let me read it for you. Utthana upattana cha sussusa vaparicharya sakkachang sipughana gurum aradhe buddho. Let me read it for you once again. Utthana upattana cha sussusa vaparicharya sakkachang sipughana gurum aradhe buddho. Let me give you the background story for this one. When Buddha was residing in Rajagha at a Squirrel's Park, there was a forest called Squirrel's Park, and one day he saw a young Brahmin called Singala was performing a ritual. When he was on his arms round, he found out that a young man with his wet hair and clasped hand uplifted and performing a ritual, which is kind of worshipping all 6 quarters of the earth. So he approached this young kid, young Brahmin, asked, "What are you doing?" And he explained that this is a kind of a promise that he promised to his father on his deathbed. His father asked him do this ritual when he's gone. So he didn't know what he was doing, but as a respect for his father, he was performing this. And then Buddha explained him that this is something useless. This is not the way in the 6 quarters should be worshipped in the noble discipline. This is how he referred to his teaching. And the young Brahmin asked, then how do we respect all 6 quarters? What is the correct way to worship or respect 6 quarters? And he explained one of the beautiful discourses that we can find in Sutta Pitaka, Digha Nikaya, long discourses, Sutta number 31. If you have the resources, you can read it, and you might find translations online as well. I hope one day you will be able to read it in its original form after mastering this language. That would be a challenge for you, but it's a challenge for me as well to guide you through to that goal. But it is one of the wonderful discourses given by the Buddha. Today, I want to give you a summary of how do you respect a teacher. There are 5 ways you can respect a teacher. First one, as you can see, Utthana This is the Asian way of respecting a teacher. You have to raise from your seat as a respect. Whenever teacher comes to your class, you have to respect him by raising from your seat. That's one way of respecting your teacher. And the second way is upatthana, regularly attending to your teacher. Whenever he calls you, you have to be on alert to attend him. This is the second way of respecting your teacher. And the third way, sususa, you listen carefully what's been taught by your teacher. You give full attention all the time to your teacher. That's also a one way of respecting. And these days, online classes have killed this tradition. And also, paricharya, by serving your teacher all the time. This is a traditional way. In the olden day, classes were not conducted as like this. And you have to approach your teacher and do all the duties that you have to do. And then you listen from your teacher. That is the traditional way of learning. And the fifth one is sakachang sipuggahana. She's the most important one in my understanding. By learning the teaching well, what is given, you take it and you learn it really well. This is the most important thing. So I'm the teacher here. I want you to respect the teacher only in the fifth category. If you can learn the teaching which is given by the teacher, that is the very best way that you can respect a teacher. What I'm doing now is respecting my teachers who have taught me this language. Now I'm giving back to all of you who are willing to master the Pāli language. I'm really happy to do that. So we're going to be shifting our gears today, and we're going to be doing kind of a review of what we have gathered in our last lectures. We had 2 lectures. In our first lecture, we admired the beauty of this ancient language called Pāli. And also we had so many difficulties while doing exercises. I got so many overwhelming questions from you from all corners of the world, asking this and that. I'm really happy that you are struggling. More you struggle, more you can become a fluent person. Because as a personal experience, when we were doing these exercises, we started learning Pāli with the same book that you are using, and we struggled a lot. Sometimes there was no teacher to ask, no friend to ask, but you struggle by yourself. But more you do mistakes, more you learn how not to do mistakes. So this is really important. I'm happy, don't be discouraged when you're doing a mistake, and we'll be having a special Zoom class and Zoom session to solve your problems, and keep that in mind as well. I'm happy a lot of people are doing exercises and submitting them. So in a way of respecting your teacher, I'm asking you to submit and do your homework and keep always moving forward. And today's lecture will be for you to be in the course and move forward. So if you find this previous lectures difficult and things we discussed really difficult, this lecture is a kind of a smooth way to introduce some grammatical aspects as well. So as you can see here on the board, we're going to be talking about skills to move forward. Let me start with that. So if you want to be in the course and if you want to move forward, now you have to have the ability to understand the concept of subject. What is called subject? I'll be explaining this. And don't worry if you understand at first time, because this will be reviewed again and again throughout this course. So you have to understand what is the subject, what's called a verb, and what's called an object, and also indirect object and direct object, all these things. And also, by now, you have to have the ability to understand cases in Pāli. There are 8 cases in Pāli. You have to have this ability to understand these 8 cases. And also, if you can memorize one paradigm, declension paradigm, this will be of much importance if you want to move forward. Like we started in our first lecture, declining R ending stems. We know that we decline the word nara. We start with naro, nara, narang, nare, narena, narehi, narebhi, naraya, narasa, naranang, nara, naramha, narasma, narehi, narebi, narasa, naranang, nare, naramhi, narasmi, naresu. He, nara, nara. If you don't have he in your book, don't worry. Bhavanto nara. So you have to have the ability to recall this. If you don't have that kind of memory, you have to have the ability to refer it to the place where that has the word has in the declension paradigm. So this is really important. So if you're struggling memorizing, you can have a cheat sheet, and you can write down all the endings, and also you can memorize this one all the time. A complete repetition would also help you to memorize these things. So as a way of traditionally learning this, we were asked to do this all the time. So as monks, little monks, we used to recite this all the time. O, a, ang, e, ena, ebi, ehi, aya, asa, anang, a, amha, asma, ebi, ehi, asa, anang, e, amhi, asming, esu, a. So this is a kind of a fun thing. Memorizing can be fun, remember, and it's also meditative. You have to focus your object all the time. So this is a kind of a meditation as well. So the third thing I would like to say is that you have to know what's called verb, and also you have to understand how to conjugate. How you have to have the ability to break a verb into its component parts. For example, we discussed in our last lecture, verb can be divided into 3 categories, 3 grammatical aspects. What are they? Root, we have the root, and then we have the conjugational sign, and then we have the verbal termination. You have to know the terminology. So a lot of people who are learning grammar would get discouraged by listening or getting to know about this terminology. Let's think about it as a language. Grammarians talk in their language. They have all these conceptual ideas and fictional theories about grammar. But we have to understand that we never taught grammar when we were born as a kid. We understood what our parents were talking about without knowing anything about grammar. So the good way to look at it is that we already know grammar. What I'm doing here, I am recording your mind to see it in a different light. You already know how to write a sentence in your language. You know what's the subject, even though you don't think about it, but your mind is accustomed to see the subject and identify the verb and write the object and indirect object, whatever. So what I'm doing here, what you have to understand is that you have to understand you already know these concepts, but we are recording, we are reprogramming, re-educating you. So don't worry if you don't understand. As time goes, you will get to know these things, and things will be more and more easier for you in the coming lessons. So today's lesson will be a revision. And then we're going to be talking about the concept of syntax today as well. And also a concept called case, and also declension, and all the 8 cases and their usages as well. And also we are going to discuss about the stem or the noun base. I'm sorry I can't cover the topic of our gradation today, but it will be a topic of our Zoom session coming soon. Today's lecture, I'm going to be covering these topics. Let me start with a noun. What's called a noun? Noun can be a name, it can be a thing, it can be a place. So nouns can be used as subjects or objects of a verb. Let me give you an example. I think you can see my board. Try to read this one. Manusso gamam gacchati. Manusso gamam gacchati. So in Pali, we have to look for the ending. We got to know about this in our first lecture. In order to identify the subject, I mean, lots of people have this difficulty of identifying subject and object. So that is the first difficulty, first word that you come across when learning grammar. So where to look for? How do you understand which is the subject? Where to look for? You look for the ending, and you notice, oh, this signifies that this is the subject because this is nominative case. And here, here you can see gamam. You know the ending of accusative case. This is the object. Gacchati is the verb. So manusso as a full word, it's a subject. So manusso is a subject, but it's a noun. You have to understand. We can call this a subject. Why it is called a subject? Because the person or manussa, the man, goes to the village and he's the one who performs the action. So it is the subject of the sentence, and it is also a noun. As you can see here, subject is a noun. Also, we have object here. Object here, it is also a noun. It is also a noun, and it is also an object. So this is the verb, completely different category. So as you can see, verbs can be used as subjects and also as objects of a verb or sentence. And they can be used with prepositions in adverbial phrases. Don't worry if you don't know about adverbial phrases. Let me give you an example. He said in a polite way, this is called adverbial phrase. A group of words act as an adverb is called adverbial phrase, as you can see. But my point is not to show you how adverbial phrases are working, to show you how noun works in an adverbial phrase. Way is a noun. Polite is an adjective. So nouns can be used with prepositions in adverbial phrases. Let's go to the presentation, and they express the means by which an action is accomplished. Let's take another example. He reads a book. He reads a book. Here, reads is the action. Reads is the action. This action is accomplished by a subject. In other words, you can understand this is a noun. So nouns, a means by an action is accomplished. And they can show the possession, i.e. who owns what. Let's go to example. I think this is something you saw, the villages in the exercises, villages of the king, villages of the king. You came across when you are completing the exercises. Villages of the king. So we can write this one as king's villages. This one also a noun, and this is also a noun. As you can see here, nouns can show the possessions. And then what is called syntax? How do you understand the word or the concept of syntax? Let me give you an example again. We can say a grammatical relation of a word to other words in a sentence, a syntax. A grammatical relation of a word to other words in a sentence is called a syntax. I is here. I saw him reading a book. In English language, as we talked about this again and again in our previous two lectures, we saw that in English, we use the word order to give this syntax. And also prepositions doing this sense of giving the syntax. How we understand it is that when we look for the word order, we can get a sense that who is the subject and who is the object and who is the other parts of a sentence. And also the word order and also the prepositions give us that sense. Okay, let's analyze this sentence. I is the subject. I is the subject. And so is the verb. So is the verb. Him reading a book. Him, an object. And this is also object. So we can get to know about analyzing a sentence. This is the subject, a doer of the action. But what did he do? He saw someone reading a book. What did that person did? What did that person do? He reads a book. So in this way, we can understand if we analyze the sentence, we understand the relationship between this is the doer, is the subject, and this is the action. Someone performed this action, is the subject. We can analyze this. This is called understanding the syntax. In Pali, Pali is a highly inflected language. If you recall, you understand that how does Pali word or how do Pali words do this? In Pali, we changes the ending of a word to indicate words relationship to another words in a sentence or in a clause, in a phrase. Let's take an example in Pali language. I'm taking an easy example. Naro gamam gacchati. Naro gamam gacchati. In English, we understood the syntax by analyzing the word order or understanding the prepositions. In Pali, the Pali changes the ending to give the notion or give the sense of syntax. By looking at this, we understand this is the subject because it ends in O. We know that O is the nominative case, and we know that is the accusative case. And we know if we analyze this one, T is the personal ending, belongs to third person singular. Now we know that the person who is performing this action is he or she or it, a singular thing, singular person. So in Pali, this is how syntax works. Naro, we can translate this one, the man, gamang, to the village, gacchati, goes. Don't worry about the border. We can shift them around. The man goes to the village. This is called syntax. So the relationship, we can understand the relationship. It doesn't matter where do you put here. As a beginner, you can put it here and there. You can move around. There's no matter. It doesn't matter as long as you get the ending correct. So if you have O at the ending, we understand that it is nominative case. It is in nominative case. And if you have we know that it is in accusative case. It is a singular noun. And if you have T at the end, you know that it is third person singular. So this is how we understand and analyze the syntax. And then Pali has an effective system to organize the syntax. How do Pali organize the syntax? This is what we call, we have case. What is called case? Case literally means false. Case. Yes. I think I'm kind of disturbed by the flies. They're working I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We got disturbed by the flies here in our room. They are still, I think they are still working on the board. So I'm unable to work on the smart board because they occupy the board. Sorry, I think you're with me. And we were talking about the syntax and how to analyze the syntax in the Pāli language. In English language, we understand the syntax by analyzing the word order and also the prepositions. In Pāli language, since it's a highly inflected language, Pāli language changes the ending of a word to indicate a word's relation to other words in a sentence or a phrase or a clause. And we were talking about, where was I? We were talking about syntax in Pāli, taking a Pāli sentence, and we were discussing about what is called case in Pāli language. Case. Case literally means false. A noun is conceived of falling away from its original form. What is the original form? We have 8 cases. We talked about this. This is repeating. We have nominative case. I'm going to be discussing this one by one today. We have accusative case, and we have instrumental case, and we have dative case, and we have ablative case, and we have genitive case, and we have locative case, and we have vocative case. I know this might be the first time you getting to know about these cases. Don't worry, you already know, as I told you earlier, you already know these concepts, but I am renaming them in a grammatical light. Nominative case, accusative case, instrumental case, dative, ablative, genitive, locative, and vocative. There are 8 cases in Pāli language. So in the grammarian's mind, they think the nominative case as the original form. A noun is conceived of, I'm repeating this again, a noun is conceived of falling away from its original form to other forms like accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, falling to these categories, forms. This is a metaphor to the word declension. We take a noun, it's in its original form called nominative, and then when it falls away or leans away from its original form and falls into a different categories, we call this process a case or declension. Another way of understanding is that you take a noun, let's say we take a base, nominal base, and we put on case ending. When we put on case endings on a noun, we call the process declension. And we put on a case ending on a verb, we call the process conjugation. Again, when we add ending to a base, nominal base, we call it, the process is called declension. And when we add a case ending at the end of a verb or verbal base, we call the process conjugation. So we conjugate verbs and we decline nouns. Decline means from an original form, we have certain categories. A verb can fall into these different categories. This is called case. This is called cases. So we'll be taking one by one nominative case. So you have to understand the usages of each case. You have to understand the usages of each case if you want to move forward. You have to memorize them. There's no other way. You have to memorize them. You have to write it down, and then you have to practice what is the usage of the nominative case. Nominative is a word derived from nomen in Latin language, meaning a name. It is the form or the case in which we name or identify a word. Let's say Acharya. We want to say Acharya, we say Acharyo. Acharyo. So this is a name for teacher in Pali. But we have O, when we are naming things, we use the nominative case. In other way, for a Pali, in order for the Pali speaker to understand a word, a noun serves as a subject of a sentence, we put it in nominative case. If something is in nominative case, we understand it's the subject of the sentence. That's why a lot of Thai monks, they have their names in nominative case. You can understand O is the ending of a lot of Thai monks. So this is how you name things. Nominative case is used to name something. It is talking about the subject of a sentence. So the usage of nominative case is to name a subject who is the doer or the performer of an action. Okay, so then we have accusative case. I can say Acharyo. Let's write an example. Acharyo gacchati. This one to make little sentences. Now you know a little amount of verbs in Pali language and also some verbs as well. Now you can create weird sentences to get used to the vocabulary as well. Acharyo gacchati. We understand Acharyo, O is the ending for the nominative singular. Acharyo gacchati, that means the teacher goes. How do we understand? Ti is the third person singular for third person singular for verbs, and Acharyo is the singular, nominative singular. And when we want to say the plural version of this, let's say teachers go. How do we say that? Let's make this sentence into plural. Teachers. You can understand this is the inflection in English language. Teachers go. You remember Naro gacchati. This is the first example. Naro gacchati. Sorry, Acharyo gacchati. Acharyo gacchati. So this is the singular sentence, and we want to make this into plural sentence. What we do is that we change the ending. What is the case ending for nominative plural? If you remember, you are a genius. You change the ending. You know the stem acharya. This is the stem. Let me tell you something interesting also. When you come across when you are reading English language, when you come across unknown word, what you do is you refer to a dictionary, and you can find the meaning of that word in a dictionary. Suppose you were to find the word entertain, and then we have all the inflected versions of a word in an English dictionary, which is not the case in Pali language. In order to refer to a dictionary, you have to learn something in Pali language. You can find entertain as a verb, and then entertainer as a noun, and entertainment again as an adjective. So you can find all the inflected versions of a one word in an English dictionary. But in Pali language, you can't do this. Whenever you find, let's say, suppose you saw the word acharyo, you didn't know the meaning, then you can't find acharyo in the Pali dictionary. There's no form like acharyo in the Pali dictionary. You have to remove the case ending in order to cite the base of a word, the nominal base. And then you can look for that nominal base in a dictionary. This is really important when you're learning Pali language. You have to remove the case ending. So in order to remove the case ending, you have to know which case ending is this. So what you do here, we know acharya, the base, you can guess, O is the ending, nominal is singular, and then before this O, we drop the ending word of the base, and then we get acharyo. So in order to look for acharyo in a dictionary, you don't have that form in the dictionary. What you have to do is you have to find the base of that noun. When you find the base of that noun, you can refer and you can understand. And also in the dictionary, it is mentioned which kind of noun is this. If it's a masculine noun or feminine noun or neuter noun, it is mentioned in the dictionary. And then you take that and you consider the ending. Let me show you something. No, I have deleted it. Sorry. So the nouns in Pali are categorized in terms of their endings. Let's say we have masculine nouns and feminine nouns and neuter nouns, right? They are listed according to endings, E endings, and E endings, U endings, U endings, and O endings. Don't worry, we'll be covering these things in the lessons to come. And also in the feminine nouns also, they are categorized, listed according to their ending. Now you have covered R ending, manusso, manussa, and purisa, nara, buddha, sangha. All these are nouns ending in R. There are nouns belonging to R endings. And also, if you take an example, Aggi, Uni, these are E ending nouns. You can see this is the ending in vowel, and it is E. E is the vowel, the word ends. And E, we have, let's say, Pakki. It's a word for bird. And we have, let's say, Sabanyu. This one ends in U. We have lots of nouns categorized in terms of their ending vowel, or sometimes it can be a consonant as well. We'll be talking about this again and again. So I think I'm running out of time. How do we do?
Yes, Vande, you can take a few more minutes. I think if you have to cover something, you can take 5 more minutes. Yeah.
Yes. So what I want to do is I want to finish how we change the sentence into plural. We saw naro gamang gacchati. This is a singular sentence. And we want to make it into plural. What we do is we know that case endings for nominative case is O, plural is R. Nominative singular is O, nominative plural is R. So we know the base, nara is the base. And what we do is nara plus R. We drop this one, we have nara, gamam, gat, can we have a singular noun for a plural subject? We can't have. So we have to change the ending of the verb as well. Gachan, gachanti. So you have to always look here and also here. So now you understand naro, nominative singular, nara is nominative plural. This is how you understand the nominative case. Nominative case talks about the subject of a verb. Talks about the subject of a verb. We use nominative case to signify a subject of a verb, or otherwise we can say it is what the sentence is all about. I think we are running out of time. I wanted to cover all the cases today, but I was unable to do so. But don't worry, we'll be having a little Zoom session as well. In that Zoom session, I'll be covering these topics. And if you have any questions as well, you can ask. And these things will be covered in that Zoom session. Don't worry, you'll not be having any exercises to do. Today's lecture is a revision. And what you have to do is that you have to go through the previous lessons again and try to analyze them in a grammatical light. And if you have any questions, you can post and you can raise those questions on that platform, WhatsApp platform, as also in Telegram platform as well. And Bhante Madhubihari, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Vande. That was a very nice lecture and very informative. And I hope everyone enjoyed it. And there are a few questions that need to be answered. One is, you have been always mentioning that Pāli is a highly inflected language.
Yes.
So some students have the question, what does it mean? What does it, could you please?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people have this question, inflection. Second, sorry. Let's take this example in English. This is the present indicative mode, sing. You can understand this is the present tense, to sing. And when we say sang, the word sang, we understand this is the action. This is an action belongs to past. Someone has sang. And this one, sung, this is the past participle. What has happened? In order to change the meaning or the sense or the relationship with the time, English has used E here, R here, you can call it that, it sing, E, and sung up. Okay. So this is called inflection in English. Pali, you can't find this thing in all English words, but in Pali language, since it's a highly inflected language, this is a kind of thematic form for me. So if you use this, the same theory in Pali, this applies to all the time. I can give you an example in English as well to understand. The man goes to the village. I gave a book to the man. This is a very good example to understand what I'm talking about, why Pali is highly inflected language. If you analyze this, the man in this sentence, what you can guess is it's the subject. But if you don't think, if you drop this, all this, can you understand this is a subject or object? Here, the same thing, the man is act as the object of that sentence. So in both these examples, the man, the word man remains the same. In English, but I told you that all the time you can't find the inflections happening in English. In order to understand that, English uses the word order and also the prepositions like to. Here you can understand these prepositions give us an idea that this is the subject and this is the object. But if we take this, the very same example in Pali, you can understand what I'm talking about. Let's say manusso gamang gacchati. Aham manus manusassa uttakam. Don't worry if you don't understand this. I just want to show the endings, what happens to the Pali words. Dadami. The same thing written in different languages. Let's analyze word by word. The man here, manusso. Okay, we are talking about only the man. The man here, manussassa. Can you see any different here? Here, manusso and manussassa. In both situations and places, you have the difference. Manussa is the form, base. And here, O is added. Here, us is added. But in English, it is the same. So English, using English, I'm not telling any grammatical deficiencies in English language. English fools us to understand this concept because we have gotten used to English language. So as you can see here, all the time, the verb end most of the time changes. Yeah, you can see, as you can see, all the time changes. It happens with verbs as well. So that's why I'm telling that Pali is a highly inflected language. Inflection is common and unique to every language on earth, but it is very common and very frequent to some languages like Pali.
Thank you very much for the detailed question answering. Yeah, and also there are a few clarifications to be made. There is a practical question when you were talking about the nominative and vocative, and also some are asking your name should be pronounced Sumedha Loka in Sri Lanka, and while you go into Thai, you should be Sumedha Loko.
Yes.
So could you please give us some insights on this vocative, nominative interchange, and also the traditions, how it's in Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Laos, Cambodia, and Thai. So could you please give us some insights on that?
Yes,
And how do we
nominative.
recite in Vinaya Kammas also, please? How do we recite in Vinaya Kammas?
Yes, nominative case, as I told you, nominative case is used to name things, simply name things. So in Pali, we use nominative case to denote the subject. But normally, when you address someone, we use the vocative case to do that. So the vocative endings are, that's a good question actually. Vocative endings are I don't want to take my name, but let's take it because it was the question. So the nominative, let's take this as the base as. So when we add nominative O, this becomes Sumedha Loko. Then it acts as the subject or as a name. But in the vocative case, we have A and A. Then it becomes Sumedha Loka is the base. And we drop ending, well, and then Sumedha Loka in the vocative singular. Or if you are addressing me, if you are talking in Pāli language to me, you can say Sumedha Loka or Sumedha Loka or something like that. So we have these two endings. And normally in Burmese and Sri Lankan tradition, we go for the vocative case. Also, I can think maybe I don't know whether I'm correct or not, but I think maybe sometimes we use the base to name things. So there's no wrong with any way of naming things. But in Vinaya Kammas, we use the case ending. Vinaya Kamma, what we call formal act to perform monastic rituals. So we use we use the nominative case, and also we use the cases because it's a kind of it's a contextual thing. I think if my answer is not complete, I think Bante Maguire has to say something on this.
Yeah, it was clear, and that's the thing. And we normally see the vocative case used in Sri Lanka and Myanmar, and the nominative case has been used in Thai and also in Laos, so and Cambodia especially. But when we come to Vinaya Kammas, because it's a grammatical sentence that we have to utter in a Vinaya Kamma. So in a Vinaya Kamma, we use the vocative case Sunatume Bhante, that is addressing the monks. But when we say about one now, when someone is taking a Vinaya Kamma, we have to say it in a grammatical sentence. So Tisso Bhikkhu. So we normally decline and say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's clear for all. So do you have to do some revision questions, or shall I take the questions on the chat box?
Yes. I don't have exercises. Okay. Can you throw me some questions if Venerable Sangharatana can?
So you're going to do the exercises?
Yes, I think we have that book. You know. Yes. Okay. We have to discuss the size 3, I guess. Is it? Yes. Read one. So as you can see here, I'll be taking random examples and how to answer these questions. So first of all, when you're trying to answer these questions, you have to have the ability to locate these things in a declension paradigm. If you are unable to do so, the chances are you might get the wrong answers all the time. So what you have to do is memorize the declension sheet, declension paradigm, and try to recall in your mind the declension paradigm, like O, R, Ang, A, and sometimes you can randomly jump to a place like, what's the case ending for genitive plural? You can ask. Then it comes to your mind, Anang is the form for genitive plural. And what's the case ending for locative plural? And then it comes to you, okay, locative plural, it might be aso, like that. You have to have this kind of fun kind of game going inside your mind. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the correct answer. This is the kind of way of choosing, pick and choose. It's a good fun as well. You can, while you are doing these exercises. So let's.
I'll just interrupt. Just sorry for that, because there is a question on the chat box. So could you please mind to start the question, because otherwise sometimes you may miss it. Question number 8, because someone is asking the question about the goal of a motion.
Yes.
Accusative and dative cases. So
yes.
Could you please explain this sentence first and give the difference between the dative and the accusative with a simple example?
Yes. So, if you know what you have to do is, you have to first know the usages of the accusative case. That's why it is important. You just jot this down in one place. We have the usages in one place and the cases. So accusative case can be used to denote direct object of a sentence, object of a sentence, and also denote the goal of motion. These are the two usages of the accusative case. When you know this and when it is clear for you, you know what to do. So the direct object, let's say the cat scratches the thief. Let's analyze this. The cat is the subject. And what does it do? It scratches the thief. We can understand the direct object as being something upon which the action is being performed. So cat is the subject, and the cat performs the action of scratching upon the thief. So the thief is directly involved with the action, by the action we can say. So we call this one direct object. Direct object, right? And I go to the village. This is the second usage. This is the direct object, can be denoted by using the accusative case. And also, if you go to this example, this is not the I go to the village, to the village is not the direct object. It's the place where my action is ending. That's the goal of my movement or the motion. So this can be also denoted by using the accusative case. As Bante Maggavihari pointed out last day, that if someone descends to some place or climb to a mountain or something like that, all those places can be denoted by using this concept called goal of action. So if you go to the example, it's Sango Gamam Gacchati. Sango Gamam Gacchati. Dative case is used to denote the indirect indirect object of the sentence, and also it talks about the purpose. This is called dative of purpose. There are two usages of the dative case as well. Let's take this example. The father gives the money to the son. Let's analyze this example. The father is the subject and he gives what? We can ask the question, he gives what? He gives the money. So we understand the money is the direct object because the father directly performed the action of giving money upon the money. But the son who received it, who is the recipient of this direct object, the father didn't perform the action of giving directly upon the son, but somehow he received. He's indirectly involved with the action, involved in the action of receiving money. So we can understand the money as the direct object and the son as the indirect object. Someone who is indirectly involved in the action because the father performed the action upon the money, he receives the money. So this is called indirect object. So indirect object is used to, the dative case is used to denote the indirect action. The money, which is called the direct object, is used, the accusative case is used to denote the direct object. And also if someone says like purpose, so purpose also can be used an example for the dative of purpose. He's striving for peace. So the for peace, this part in this sentence should be put in dative case. Those are the two usages of dative and accusative. Again, accusative case is used to denote the direct object and also to denote the goal of motion. Dative case, whereas it is used to denote the purpose, also the indirect object. In this example, as we can see here, Sango Gamam Gacchati, you go to the physical world and understand that Sangha is going from one place to another. So they have a goal of their motion. So we understand this as a direct object. So we use the community This is nominative singular. This is accusative singular. And this is third person singular. You have to define this one before you try to write your answer. The community goes to the village. This is the direct object, and it's the goal of motion. It should be put in accusative case and should be translated as an accusative case.
Okay, thank you very much, Bante, for that answer. Now you can please continue with the exercises. Yeah.
Yes. And let's take a random exercise. People had some questions with something called Varaha Ajehi Vasanti. This was something people struggle with, in my experience. Can you see this color? Can you see this color? If I were to write in yellow color, can you see the color? Difficult to see, okay. So, Varaha Ajehi Vasanti. Let's analyze this in terms of their ending. So we are talking about our ending nouns. So we know that it possibly it can be Varaha, because we are talking about dealing with our ending nouns. So what has happened? Varaha. We have our ending. In the declension paradigm, where can we find R? That's the first question that you have to ask. And Ajehi, we remove the ending, then we get Aja. And we have Ehi. Again, you ask the same question, where can we find Ehi in the declension paradigm? And Vasanti, you can see Unti, it's easy. It's in the third person plural. There's no big hassle with the verbs, but you have to understand where can you find Varaha in the declension paradigm. In the nominative plural, you have Varaha, and also in vocative singular, you have and also ablative singular, you have There are three places where ending appears in the declension. So now we try to understand, is this a subject, or is this something someone addressing someone, or is this the ablative case? If you analyze this one, go to the verb and ask who performed this action. Vasanti, live. So the action, the doer of the verb should be a subject. So we go for by analyzing that one, before you try to answer or try to translate, go to the verb and ask the question, who performed this action? Then you get Varaha. This is nominative plural. So you can translate this, the pigs, Ajehi, with goats, Vasanti, live. And then you can change the sentence in order to suit the English translation. The pigs live with goats. That's how you have to do. So let's take another sample if we have time.
Yes, you have time. You have time. Yeah.
Swang Sihang Pasasi. Before you try to do the exercises, you have to understand three persons and their case endings. Three persons are first person, second person, and third person. Their case endings are me, nga, si, the, and ti, nti. Now you understand, you go for the verb first. it is always better to analyze the verb first and then try to come back to the subject or the noun. So as we understand this one, pas is the root, and then it assimilates. The is the verbal termination, sorry, conjugation sign, and T is the verbal termination. This is the indicator to show what's happening. Passasi, passati here. So passati. Now we can conjugate passati, passanti, passasi, passata, passami, passama. When you're trying to do the exercise, just to don't look for the answer itself. Just conjugate a verb in all these 6 forms. Then you have a good understanding of where it is located in the conjugation paradigm as well. So passasi appears as the second person singular verb. So passasi, wang, you, we understand the second person singular. Sihang. Now we ask the question, siha is the stem. You always have to have the ability to remove the ending and identify the verb, the base. Then you can answer the question, where can this appear in the declension paradigm? Siham appears in the accusative singular, so it is the direct object. From you, sihang, lion, you can say a lion or the lion. Passasi, look or see. You see a lion or you see the lion. That's how you translate. Always take a verb and try to conjugate. As a beginner, what you have to do the same thing over and over again. We are asked to do that by our teachers all the time. When you get the subject and you try to conjugate in all 6 forms until you have the fluency. I think this is clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. And there's a one request, number 15. Could you please explain the number 15 so we can
15. Yes. Number 15. So mayang loke vasama. Mayang loke vasama. Let's analyze the verb first, as it is the best way to approach to write an answer. So as we can see, was, sa, ma. Where can we find ma? We can find ma in first person plural. So before the ending of first person plural ma and before the ending me, the verbal base should be lengthened. There's a rule. Was is the root, and we add conjugation sign. Sorry. Was is the root. Was is the root. We have the conjugation sign are, and then we have verbal termination ma. So was, this becomes vasa. This is the verbal base. Root plus conjugation sign become a verbal base, and then before ma and me, ending vowel of the base should be lengthened. We have vasama. We have vasama. Then this belongs to first person plural. First person plural. Now, what is the personal ending for the personal pronoun for first person plural? It's tumhe, tumhe, personal pronoun for first person plural, and loke. Loke. So
Sorry,
we
it's
can.
not. It's tumhe mayan, no? Tumhe.
Sorry. Mayam. Yes, it should be Mayam. Mayam. Loke. So we are trying to remove the ending. We see it can be, we do the reverse engineering. Loka A can become loke. We drop the ending, so it becomes loke. This can be also loke, lokamhi, lokasmi, lokasmi. So mayang, we, loke, in or on, loke, world, vasama, live. We live on the world, in the world. That's how you have to translate that. But it's also always better to understand the procedure and how do you attempt to write the answers. The way, the approach, and the method that you use to translate is the utmost important thing, not the answer itself.
Thank you very much, Bhante. And the time is up. So yeah, we can conclude the class. And I think there are people have various questions. So students have various questions. I think please inform them that we are planning to do a extra Zoom lesson to.
Yes, you can ask the questions individually. Whatever question that you come across while doing the exercises, you can ask, and if there are unclear points you can ask them as well. So before you ask the question, I mean, in the Zoom session, you can just post them on our WhatsApp group and also in our Telegram group. And then someone, I think it's Mary Chan from Indonesia, she's helping me with collecting all the answers in a one page, and then I'll be able to answer your questions. So it's better for you to ask all the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining and putting your efforts to study the Pāli language and joining with the International Institute of Theravada. So we'll be providing you with some Pāli lessons, and also there will be, from December, there will be some lectures or lessons on fundamentals of the tradition, and also some other lectures related to Buddhism in English. So you are very welcome to join with us. So yeah, thank you very much, Bhante Sumedaloka, for your wonderful lecture, and I think everyone enjoyed. So we'll conclude the class by reciting Namo Tassa, Buddha Sasanam Chiram Tittatu 3 times.
Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tittatu, Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tittatu, Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tittatu, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu.